Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started with our post-race press conference here today. The winner of today's Ally 400 NASCAR Cup Series race at Nashville Superspeedway. The winning car owner is none other than Mr. Rick Hendrick. Mr. Hendrick, interesting stat that we saw up on the board earlier, that now 6 of the last 13 venues that have opened, a Hendrick Motorsports car has won. Goes back to Indianapolis, Auto Club Speedway, Kansas with Jeff Gordon, and of course the Daytona Road Course in COTA with Chase Elliott, and here today with Kyle Larson. Talk about, again, today's race. Kyle, unbelievable job by the entire 5 team.
Well, you know, it was, I thought he was good in practice. I thought all our cars were pretty good in practice, and, you know, he did an awesome job. Cliff called an exceptional race, and pit crew did their job, and it was pretty flawless all day long. So, you know, they've been in full stride here for the last 7-8 weeks, and really all year. But it's good to finish it off. I wish William had a little bit of gas that we could have win 1-2 again. But we're happy to be here. I love this place. I love the crowd. It felt like old times. Fans excited. Got trapped trying to get in, but it just felt good. It felt like we were back years ago with the fans excited, shoulder to shoulder, and really proud of this guy. He's worked hard. They've all brought good cars, and I'm glad to get this win.
We're also joined by Cliff Daniels, the crew chief for the number 5 machine. Cliff, how worried were you there at the end of the race? Were you thinking, could you make it on gas? Could you not? Undoubtedly, you did make it on gas, but how much was it a worry for you?
Yeah, definitely a concern, and Kyle knew going into the race. He and I had talked about so many different strategies, even the caution coming out late, and you know, if we had to take rights or stay out. Or actually, one of the last questions he asked me before we walked out of the truck is what a fuel run was and what would be a scenario to save fuel. And I kind of, you know, walked him through potential scenarios, and you know, we just didn't know what the race was going to play out like here at Nashville. Hats off to the folks at Nashville Superspeedway. What a great crowd, what a great race, really cool atmosphere being here. So definitely concerned at the end of the race, but Kyle kind of owned what he needed to do to save fuel and got us to the end. He did a great job on track. Pit crew did a great job. Thank you to Valvoline, HendrickCars.com, everybody at Hendrick Motorsports Chevrolet. What a cool day.
We'll go and open up to questions. First one right here, Jerry Jordan, bringing a microphone to you.
Jerry Jordan, KickingTheTires.net. Rick, you know, to see the 5 car have so much success, and what we all know what that number means, and what does that feel personally to you, and for Kyle to come out here and just really show everybody that he is one of the greatest drivers out here?
Well, you know, when I thought about it this year, and the 5 was our first number, and I was super excited to bring it back, and then to run Ricky's paint scheme on it. It was that was kind of like icing on the cake, and then to see the car run like it does, and Kyle do the job, and Cliff do the job he's doing. Yeah, it's super exciting for me to see all of the cars go, but the 5 was the first number. Almost didn't get through the year, and now to be here and have this many victories and to see that car back on track, it never gets old. I mean, you know, I get nervous toward the end. We're going to run out of fuel. It's going to be a caution. All of those things that I go through. What is it, 270 times now?
I think 271.
271, okay. But well, I'm old. You know, I can't keep up with it. But no, but I think every time that the car is on the track, I think back to Jeff Bodine. I think Harry Hyde. I think about the little shop on the hill. I think about I was renting transmissions, rear ends, and all those things. I mean, I don't think I had $200,000 or $300,000 to start. And I mean, so I think back to those days and kind of reminisce, you know, how hard it was, and then how lucky I've been to have the talent that I've had and the drivers I've had, and it's just been unreal. I was talking to Richard Petty, and I said, you know, I remember getting that autograph from you, and I never thought I'd get to go into pits, let alone have a team. And then we talked about the fact that he backed out on me. So maybe he'd have another championship. But no, it means a lot. It just, just I think about all the people along the way. And I kept Harry's shop just like it is with equipment in it. And so I can go up there and walk through there, and it's like going back in time.
Okay, we'll go over here to Matt, then we're going to go to Jenna next. Matt?
Matt Weaver, Auto Week, one for Cliff, then one for Mr. H. Cliff, this is the closest thing to like a plug-and-play situation in racing. It's something we see often, that you take a good driver, you put him in a new team. It takes a year or so for everyone to gel. You guys hit the ground running. We listen to you on the radio, and you so often tell Kyle, I like what you're doing, keep doing that. Is there ever a moment that you don't like what you see something out of Kyle? Because we haven't heard a lot of it.
First answer is no, not at all. The second answer would be, I'm so thankful to the group that we have back at the shop. We do a lot of prep work every week, all teams do, right? But Kyle really owns his time to come to the shop. And just to dig into the notes with us, obviously there's not a whole lot of notes for Nashville other than testing notes years ago. But Kyle has a great routine of how he preps for a race. Something I've tried to do, this year is to really understand the dirt world a lot more than I ever used to. I grew up an asphalt late model guy, so I've exposed myself a lot more to the dirt this year, because of Kyle, and just to learn how to speak his language, so that when we get in these situations, I can understand his feedback better, what he sees for a track, what he sees for a car, and there's no denying his talent is 10 out of 10 right now. So our job and my job is to make sure that he sees, all the notes and all the perspective of a race, just for how to manage a race. If you get behind, how do you get ahead? What different strategies can play out? Things like that. Not only is he an amazing talent, he's also really, really smart, behind the wheel of understanding what's going on with other races, around him. If somebody's off sequence, what are they doing? If we're off sequence, what does that look like? So he does such a good job, and we're kind of in sync, going into a race because the prep time that we put in during the week. And I think if we, weren't able to do that, then it would just be a tougher learning curve. And it sounds crazy to say, but we're still learning each other every week. Couldn't be more thankful for what we have now.
For Mr. H, in the past, you have had reluctance to let your drivers go off and do other disciplines, open wheel, dirt. And Kyle has done way more than I thought he would ever do with you so far. He's about to go do some more. What was that initial conversation like? And does him having this success allow him to say, well, we're going to keep this rolling?
Well, I've let Chase do races and Alex, and so I basically told them, if you get hurt, I got to put somebody in the car. So I think as we get closer in the playoffs, I think we'll slow some of it down. But I think Cliff and I have talked about it. I think it makes him better to drive all these different cars, and especially those high horsepower cars on dirt. And the one thing that Cliff has talked to me about is he spends as much time or more time than any other driver in the shop. So if he wants to race, and he's got this as a priority, and I mean he digs and digs and digs. It's all he thinks about. So I think he's happier. I want him happy. I don't want him hurt. But I've kind of given up on these guys wanting to drive. And the crew chiefs and I've talked about it. They think it's good, and the safety deals are better. So I've told them all they can drive what they want to. Okay.
Jenna?
Mr. H, last Cup race in Nashville was won by the number 5 with Jeff Bodine. What do you remember from that victory?
I got the coolest guitar. I've got a Chet Atkins limited edition. It's the prettiest guitar in my collection, and I just remember how unbelievable that was, because I still can't believe we won 3 races that year. It was just it just blows my mind from the start. But Nashville's a great place to race. It's a great city. If I didn't live in Charlotte, I'd want to live here. So, but it's just I'm a country music fan. I was hanging out with Brad today. We've been buddies for a long time. It's special to come back and compare these two. I don't get the guitar this time. Do we get a duplicate guitar?
You can get anything you want, Mr.
Okay.
Hendrick.
Yeah, you got a guitar.
I'll put that beside the other guitar. Okay.
My second question is, you had Valvoline on the car today, just the third race this season that a non-Hendrick company's been on the car. How's the interest in Kyle going from companies?
It's a lot of interest, and but my guys don't want to take Hendrick off the car. All of the dealerships, they've got all kinds of promotions, but Valvoline's been a great sponsor for us for a long time, and we've had a lot of interest, and it's growing every day. And you know, but we want to wait for the right deal. We don't want to take a piecemeal deal, because I think it's worth more to me than to do that. So, but it's tremendous interest in Kyle, and a lot of companies are telling me they appreciate giving him the chance, and some of them are ready to spend some money. It's just not enough.
If he keeps winning this way, why doesn't HendrickCars.com sponsor him?
Well, I think that we're getting real close to that. So I keep jacking the price up to the automotive group, and they haven't said no yet. So
Let's go to back here in the back, Stephen with CBS.com. Then we'll go to a question from the press box, and we're coming to Dustin and Bob.
This is going to be a question for Rick. Rick, a couple weeks ago, you were asked if you could compare Kyle Larson to any driver that you've had in the past, and you said Tim Richmond. And now we're looking at Kyle's third win in a row, plus the All-Star race, and we don't know where the ceiling is yet. How much do you start to think about that summer of '86 when Tim won 6 or 7 times between Pocono in June and the Southern 500?
you know, I just remember how talented Tim was, and he enjoyed it. He was fearless, and he did things with the car, like qualifying at Charlotte. He would tell me, when you run 4 laps, he said, I'm going to graze the bumper on the wall every lap. And he'd sit on the pole, but he'd take the paint off the right rear bumper, qualifying 4 times. And I mean, he was fun, and I think he would have been an awesome champion. I don't know if he's, when you look at Jimmy Johnson, Jeff Gordon, and all of the guys, that love to race and just excited to get in a car. He just reminds me a lot of Tim.
Okay, thank you.
Questions from the press box, please.
Tucker White, Last Word on Sports. This one is for Cliff Daniels. Cliff, after all the talk of the cording tires during the tire test a few months ago, what kind of tire wear did you see with your car today?
I thought, excuse me, I thought Goodyear brought a great tire, and our tires never had cords, never had any edges worn out or anything like that. A tire, when you can race hard and has 2 seconds to fall off or more over a run, the drivers get to slip and slide around, and it looked to me like guys that push their stuff really hard, you could kind of back off, cool it down, and make another run. I thought that was a great combination. I thought the track, the way the resin application went down, was great because we had multiple lanes that you could race. At any point of the race, you had guys that were fast on the bottom, you had guys that were fast in the middle or even up top. That's what we want to see, you know, from a racing standpoint when we come to any track, really, and especially a new track. So hats off to the track, hats off to Goodyear. I thought it was great.
We're going to go over here to Dustin. We'll come back to the press box in a minute. Dustin Long.
Dustin Long, NBC Sports, one for both. Cliff, fair or not, maybe a knock against Kyle at times has been not being able to finish off races where he's been dominant. We saw it today. We saw it at the 600. Are there certain things that are starting to come in place that's allowing that to happen? I know there's certainly been circumstances earlier this year where that didn't, but are you seeing something? Certainly he was, you know, he was calm with when you were talking about fuel mileage and the grill issue.
Yeah, I mean, I think circumstantial, like you said, and I don't remember every scenario over the past for races that maybe he didn't finish out after he led a lot of laps, but speaking to our year, there's been races that we've led laps and we haven't gotten the job done, so we took that very personal, right? We took it on the chin and went back to work at the shop and, you know, really looked at the way the whole race played out, from changes or communication that we had earlier in the race to what did we need to improve to really execute at the end. fortunately things are going well right now. I cannot say enough about our pit crew and our road crew, the guys back at the shop. They're building fast race cars. The guys are doing a great job on pit road. So from my standpoint, calling a race, and from Kyle's standpoint, I think having such strength of a team behind us almost makes that easier. So then, we can hone in on those fine details to make sure I make the right call, to make sure he gives the right feedback, makes the right move on a restart. Because a lot of it is circumstantial. And again, that's when you've got to make a good decision or make the right move.
And Rick, certainly with this run, with the wins, the top twos, the last 6 weeks, this is something that's Jimmy Johnson-esque, Jeff Gordon-esque, that we've seen out of your organization. How do you view that? Do you see it in those terms with what he's doing? Or how do you look at it? I think the last time, Jimmy won 4 in a row in 07. So,
Yeah. We've had a streak, but we didn't have. Today wasn't a very good day for the 48, but they've been battling up there among themselves. So I think this year is the best year for all 4 cars. We said we had one team with 4 cars, and they work together. Chad's in the shop, and the cars are identical as we can make them. The feedback and exchange is the best I've ever seen between the drivers, and my job is to keep it that way, not to have any feuding and fighting. But I think on par, I look at William and how far he's come, and Chase, and I think that we've got 4 cars on any given race weekend. We got a shot to win with them, but Kyle is he's just ripping it up right now, and Jimmy was a lot like that. Jeff had a streak, so it's fun when it happens. It's a lot better than trying to go back and figure out how to get in the top 10 and the top 5. So I think they're feeding off each other. And this guy right here he's not taking enough credit for the hours and the videos and the work that he does. I think when I look at all the crew chiefs and I think about Ron back on the plate and Chad in the shop, I think we've got more talent, more depth than we've ever had.
Bob Pockris.
Bob Hockers, Fox Sports. One for each. Rick, I kind of wanted to ask you what
You
Dustin
got a
asked.
haircut.
Yeah, how about that?
You've been in the wind tunnel.
I gained 2 miles per hour. What are you seeing in Kyle that is allowing him to win 4 races in a row?
He's one of the hungriest drivers that I've ever seen. And he doesn't, other than his family, he doesn't care. I mean, that's all he wants to do. That's all he thinks about. He drove at some track here and drove his motorhome here and got in at 12 o'clock at night, wasn't it?
True story.
I mean, he just eats, sleeps, and drinks racing, and he wants to win every race. I mean, he's just, and I think about him getting tired, but if you run 600 miles and go win another race that night, win 2 more races, his stamina is unbelievable. And but I've never seen anybody more intense that wants to race every minute of every day, and he wants to win.
And for Cliff, a lot of teams have brake issues. It seemed like some were choosing between short track brakes and intermediate brakes. Can you tell us, did you guys pick short track brakes, and were there any concerns?
Yeah, we were short track brakes and very, very, very conservative on everything braking, from brake tape open to our whole strategy. Unfortunately, you see some of the issues out there, and we had a decision to make coming here. Our kind of process this year has led us down a conservative road in these categories, and we were conservative at Darlington, we were conservative at Dover, places like that we ran okay. And it's tough when you go to these races. Obviously a new track here, so we don't have a data point of what the race is going to be like. Then you go to Darlington, unload race, Dover, unload race. I'm conservative by nature, and so our nature was to try to be conservative with that, and everything held up well.
Okay, we're going to take a couple more questions from the press box for Mr. Hendrick and for Cliff before we bring in Kyle Larson. Press box, any questions? If you do, make sure you give us your name and affiliation.
ChrisKnightCatchments.com, one for Mr. H and one for Cliff. Mr. H, I was just wondering if you could talk about how much Alba Colin has been instrumental in part of the Hendrick Motorsports success over the last couple of years.
She's done an awesome job. She's super smart, and she runs a tight ship, and she's all business too.
Oh, she is.
And
Yeah.
she attacks things. So we're very fortunate to have her, and she's also been on the GM side, so that helps us a lot. And when we talking to GM and their engineers about things we want to do, so she's special, and she really works hard.
Thank you. And for Cliff, congratulations on the win. I was just wondering if there's a weakness on the number 5 team at this point.
We're still, searching every week, and we identify things on a Monday. I know Kyle's nature. He's going to come in and meet with us, or we may do it over video conference. I can't remember, tomorrow or Tuesday. And he's going to identify things that he can do better. I'm going to identify things that I can do better. And really, that's kind of the mentality of our whole team. We search a lot every week. Guys, call me sad or grumpy at the shop, trying to just make sure that we uncover every detail that we can, just to make sure we don't miss something. And we missed a little something in qualifying today. I was sad about that. Kyle and I talked about it. We made sure we had good stuff under him for the race. But look, all teams are working really hard right now to make sure that they can bring their best stuff to the racetrack. Our team is certainly doing that. And we just have a really heightened sense of awareness. We know at any point we get comfortable, that's when the competition is really going to catch up, and then they're going to do more than just catch up. So it's amazing to have the wave that we're riding, and I can promise you we're going to keep our foot on the gas and do what we can to keep it going.
Thank you. All clear from the press box.
Next question for the press box.
All clear.
All clear. Okay. Cliff, Mr. Hendrick, thank you so much for being here today. Congratulations on the great win.